And welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're actually going to be going over a Pokemon that is quite new to the Great League in general because it was never available under 1500 CP. So let's not waste any time. Let's actually get straight into talking about Regice. So Regice is a pure ice type Pokemon at level 40, 15 IVs across the board. It can max out at 3,122 on the CP charts. You can achieve a 1500 at level 19 if you have 0 attack, 0 defense, and 12 stamina. The problem with that is that Regice comes out of our breakthrough research box between March and April. Now, of course, after March, this isn't going to make a big difference unless you plan on using Regice further down the road in a different cup. The issue is that the minimum IVs that you can get for a Pokemon out of Research Breakthrough is going to be 10, 10, and 10. And you're going to receive them at level 15, if I can remember correctly off the top of my head. So that really means that level 19 is going to be quite hard to achieve to hit that even 1500. Especially even if you trade it, I mean, you'd have to trade it with someone just completely that you're not even friends with so that the floor will be low enough to hit 0. And if you're not friends with them, then trading a legendary is going to cost you way too much Stardust. So while this isn't ideal at all, this is possible. It is possible to actually hit 1500. Regice actually ranks 8th. Yes, that's like 8th. 8th in bulk. That's nuts. As far as stat product, he actually ranks 11th out of all of the Pokemon. So Regice actually hits really high marks in terms of what its stats can actually push out in this cup. Now, the thing that I do not like is, of course, we only are hitting 36.62% of our full potential here. Being that we are so high in other areas, this potential really shouldn't make that much of a difference in this cup at all. So, let's actually move on to our moves here. So, being that Regice is a pure Ice-type Pokemon, of course, we do have our stab potential moves here in blue, along with our Ice typing. So we actually do have Frost Breath and Rock Smash as our fast moves on Regice here. Frost Breath is actually going to do 2.5 energy per turn and 3.5 damage per turn. Rock Smash coming in with 2.33 energy per turn and 3 damage per turn. So, of course, looking at these two moves, Frost Breath is definitely going to be the one that ends up being just, on paper, it's just better in every way. 2.5 energy over 2.33 and 3.5 over 3 itself. Plus it gets stabbed, so it's going to be doing a tad bit more damage per turn, which is just icing on the cake, really. Moving on to our charge moves, though, we actually have Blizzard for our stab move, coming in at 75 energy cost, 130 damage with 1.73 damage per energy ratio. We also have Focus Blast, costing also 75 energy, but doing 140 damage with 2 damage over energy ratio, a 2.0. I'm pretty sure that's the highest that we've had as long as I've been doing deep dives. That's a pretty big number. Focus Blast, huge. And then we have Ye Olde Faithful, good old Earthquake here, coming in at 65 energy, 120 damage, and a 1.85 in terms of damage per energy ratio there. So right off the bat, I mean, Focus Blast looks amazing and Earthquake looks amazing. Blizzard is not bad, but it's just not quite as good as the other two moves in my opinion. Earthquake we can get to faster, it has a better ratio, and Focus Blast we get to at the same time, which just does more damage, which ends up being a better ratio there. If I had to choose a moveset, I definitely would personally go with Frost Breath and then have Focus Blast or Earthquake personally. Now, here's kind of where we're going to get into our positives and negatives as we do in each deep dive here. So we're going to start with negatives just to get the bad stuff out of the way first. So our first negative is that Regice is extremely slow. He's just super slow to even get to his charge moves. As you can see, it's just all of his moves are really, really high energy cost, but that really doesn't, that really just sets him up to have a solid place on the spectrum between Shield Buster and Heavy Hitter. And I'm sure by this point you guys can tell where he's going to fall, but if you can't, we'll get to that in a second. Our second negative is that Regice is going to be extremely costly. So to really get the best package possible out of Regice, in my testing, you need both Focus Blast and Earthquake. I mean, they help cover so many things, and if I had to get rid of one of them, honestly, I would probably get rid of Earthquake. I would go with Focus Blast, simply because of the amount of damage that it's going to be able to push is just so important. You're not really trying to be a Shield Buster with Earthquake anyways, so might as well just full on put the suit, go to work, do your job as a heavy hitter, and just go for it. The last one is actually his stat potential. So his stat potential is extremely low, which does mean that he doesn't live up to his stats' full potential. But that doesn't mean the end of the world for him. Basically, since his stats are so good and he does end up in the 8th slot for bulk and the 11th slot for stat potential, he really does bring that back. But you have to understand that you're not going to be getting the full potential out of Regice as you could some other Pokemon. Next, let's go ahead and move on to our positives. So our first positive is actually his huge amount of bulk. So being 8th in the bulk is no joke. It's nothing to laugh at. This man is heavy. He is so good at tanking hits. It's insane. I love the amount of bulk that Regice has. And I'll be honest, before I ever started like deep diving into Regice, I didn't even consider him for my team. But honestly, I'd love to have a Regice at this point. This man is, oh, so good. Next on our positive is the fact that Regice just hits so hard. I mean, you can see 130, 140, and 120. No matter which charge move you end up going with. I mean, I'm not trying to say that you need Focus Blast to be good. I'm not saying that you need Earthquake to be good. All I'm saying is that these charge moves are just, they're all very, very hard hitting. If you use Regice in terms of a heavy hitter, you're going to be able to do massive amounts of damage with these moves. And honestly, I think that you can really tinker with Regice and build him to cover whatever you need on your team. So if you need more ice damage, Regice is here for you. If you need mostly neutral damage, or if you're having a problem with steel types, then Focus Blast is your answer. If you need help with ground moves because you're having issues with steel types or electric types, I guess, then Earthquake is your answer. I mean, it's really got a nice little package here that does really good. And I think that it really sets Regice up to be really good in the Tempest Cup as well. The last positive that I actually have here is that Regice is just going to kind of surprise your opponent. I mean, if they're like super deep into the meta and they really have been doing their research, of course they're going to know about Regice. But I'm talking about the players that may have gone into this tournament and just said, hey, I've got plenty of these typings and I can go in and do it. Regice is going to catch them off guard. And if they don't have an answer for Regice, being that they don't have a solid fighting move on their team, they don't have answers with fire, or just in general, if they don't have steel moves, they're gonna really be hurting. Regice has a lot of answers to take whatever you throw at it. So I think that if people aren't prepared for Regice, then they could really get stuck in a position where they have to face him and not know what they're doing. Now, in terms of our matchups, let's actually go over which matchups we win, which matchups we lose. So, I guess you could also kind of consider this in a positive thing, but just a quick number that I ended up running and figuring out. Based on pvpoke.com, you can literally go on there and put your Pokemon with your stats, put it up against the entire Tempest Cup, and see the win-loss ratio that it has. Going with Regice, Regice actually wins 51% of the matchups that you put it up against. No shields on either Pokemon. So, what that actually ends up meaning is that Regice is an amazing closer. Alright? The fact that you don't have to have shields and you can still beat 51% of the meta. Holy cow, that's insane. Okay, so let's go over losses first. So, Regice actually loses to Claydol, Lantern, and Lapras. Lantern makes a lot of sense because you're going to be taking water type damage, which you don't resist from Water Gun, which is already such a really good move. And then you're also going to be taking neutral damage with the electric type moves that Lantern also brings to the table. So he's just going to be able to beat you down neutrally, and he's got some bulk to him as well, so it's really hard to go up against something that you can't push neutral damage to, but you have to take neutral damage back. So you're kind of stuck in a weird position. Claydol was a literally like dead even. It was dead even. You tied with Claydol, which I count as a loss because if I don't win, then I don't want to talk about it, but you actually end up tying with Claydol, and you lose to Lapras, and that's just, again, the fact that you're taking neutral damage and you're trying to dish out ice-type moves with Blizzard, and Lapras is just going to resist that. Your only saving grace is Focus Blast, but you really, it takes a while to get up to Focus Blast, where Lapras can literally just kind of beat you down with neutral damage. So, on to the matches that you actually win. You actually win against Steelix, Tropius, Dugong, Lugia, Altaria, and Mantine. I did include Mantine even though he's 11th because Regice is 8th. I could have done a mirror match. Let me do that. As far as the mirror match goes, if you end up having Frost Breath, Focus Blast, and Earthquake, then it's just going to end in a tie. You literally have the exact same energy gain, and you're going to be able to do the exact same damage. Where does Regice fall in my opinion? I think that he is a definite good choice. I think that if you have access to Regice, you have a decent one that's under 1500 that you can use in this cup, I definitely think he's a solid pick. I really do. I think he's a really good closer. The fact that he's going to take resisted damage from ice, the fact that you're going to be taking resisted damage from ice types in general really sets you up to have a really nice end result of your match. So as a closer, I definitely think Regice is just, it's amazing. As a lead, maybe. I don't know if I would get, like, I don't know if I would go up with a heavy hitter first thing. Like, I've tried doing some matches where I go in and all I want to do is try to get a charge move charged up for the end of the battle. I don't know if it's really worth it. It's kind of depending on what you see on the other team, whether I would lead with it or not. In general, though, definitely a great heavy-hitting closer. So definitely recommend you to check out Regice today as well. That is actually going to be it for today, guys. So I really do appreciate everybody that's watching these videos. They have been doing really well in the past few days. For anybody who doesn't know, I do record these fairly ahead of time. They're all like scheduled on YouTube. They're not coming out on a daily basis. I don't record these every day. I usually try to record a couple a day so that I can get ahead a little bit. So if you are commenting Pokemon and I haven't made a video about it yet, it's coming, I promise. I'm doing more research now than I ever have into these Pokemon, and I appreciate all of the comments. Thank you so much. I will get to those Pokemon, I promise. So, if you like to like videos, make sure you do that. If you don't, you can be that guy. Otherwise, let me know what you have to say about Regice down in the comments below. And if you have Pokemon that you want me to take a look at, please let me know down there as well. And until our next video, guys, I will catch you then.